Do you think The Wild Robot is the best animated movie of the year?
You know what, I'm going to go out on a limb here, Ben. Are you ready for this? I'm going to say that it's the best animated film of the year, but also it's one of the best movies of the year.
Oh, Russ!
It's a great film as well as being one of the best animated films. And this is going up against, say, Inside Out and Despicable Me 4 or whatever, or 25. And so this is just a great film for everybody. What do you think? I mean, do you think that's true or not?
I agree. And I went with my 7-year-old daughter and she gave me permission to let everybody know that she cried in this. She and I had a fantastic time. From the visuals to the characters to the dialogue to the unfurling of the story, we both just found it really engaging, funny, and moving, as my 7-year-old's tears would suggest. And I was welling up at a few points as well.
I was going to ask, did you cry too? Because I was kind of curious.
I appreciate you prying into my life, Russ, and I can let you know that, yeah, I did. I was really struck by, it's one of those great stories that uses things that aren't human to reflect back to us human things. What's the fancy word? Anthropomorphous, where you have things that aren't human, that's right, displaying this to us. And so this robot and learning to become a mum, effectively, of a gosling, what that reveals to us about everything from belonging and finding a home to, are we hardwired to be a certain way and can we overcome that programming? Like, it's all in this great movie that, again, visually is sumptuous. And I thought movies like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the latest one, and the Spider-Man multiverse films, the different forms of animation going on in those, I've really been struck by those. And I think Wild Robot does a very similar thing, like a really great amalgamation of a lot of different animation styles come across as a beautiful cinematic experience.
I agree with you completely. And I guess the two things that really stood out to me was there's a great voice cast as far as just as all, you got Mark Hamill, you got Pedro Pascal. That really doesn't matter. You really don't care who's behind the characters because this story is so strong. I mean, the story comes out of the gate and you just want to know what's going on. It's such the duck out of water, or I guess they say goose out of water kind of experience. And just looking at Roz, this robot, as she kind of tries to make her way as a service robot, looking at how she's able to go through and serve these beings that she doesn't even realize what they are, much less the fact that they're not human, how she relates to them and connects to them, and how they're able to, with a machine, really give us heart from that film. I mean, that's what I just loved about it. There were little kids in the audience and nobody walks out. Nobody's crying. Nobody's distracted because people were loving this film.
In this age and rise of AI, Russ, the fact that a movie could make me care so much about a robot, like you can really connect on an emotional level with what you can clearly see is a created computer entity. As we wrestle with AI and where it's going to go and what that's going to mean for humanity and what that's going to mean for us created in the image of God and these things created in our image, I found it actually slightly challenging and wondering, is this some sort of like propaganda for embracing robots and AI? Because if it is, job done, because it makes you think these AI robots could really be my mate and could really be here to help us, which I know plenty are. But it was an interesting thing that I was walking out thinking of, whereas my daughter was thinking about how funny the fox was.
Exactly. Well, see, that's where it hits on different levels. I think it throws back straight to the Iron Giant in so many ways, even though I felt that the Roz character was so much more inviting and one that you really fell in love with. I don't know if I'd bring in all the conspiracy that this is a whole plant, but I think that it definitely was one where you fell in love with this character. But then on top of it, you really wanted to see Bright Bill, or Gosling's son, if you want, that he would actually succeed, even though he was a bit odd and quirky, if you think about it, being raised by a robot. And I just love how they really tapped into that too. So there's all of these elements that I think that really makes this very accessible for all families and all family members. And I'll go back to it. I still think that this is the best animated film. And I think that it will go strongly on the top of my watch list, but not only just as a great animated film, but just as a great film. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was about to ask you about the watch list, but then realized that's just redundant, Russ, because clearly it's on your watch list and it's on mine as well. Heading in, I thought, this is going to be great. Like you, I expected less talking. I thought it was going to be more like Wall-E, but I wasn't disappointed when they did start talking, because what the things that are being discussed in this film, like, I'm amazed that they got so many ideas, concepts in it. It's so rich and robust and so entertaining. And like you mentioned, it's for all ages as well. I think kids like 3 or 4 could go to see this and be engrossed in it just in the same way as 70, 80, 90-year-olds could be.
Exactly. And I think this one will wear well throughout history, just because of the amazing animation that goes along with it too. So yeah, man, this is great. I love this conversation. I love the fact that we're both on board with this, and I hope that people get out to support films like this, because this is a great film. So thanks so much for getting wild with me and heading out into the wilderness as we kind of consider the watch list. And again, Ben McEachen, it's always great to have you here. And so we hope that you subscribe to the watch list wherever you can find your podcasts, and especially at Hope Media. Make sure you check out everything at Hope 103.2. Also, make sure you watch our YouTube channel. We'd love for you to be able to kind of send your comments, see what you think about this whole thing here at Hope 103.2 and also at Real Dialogue. We always want to say thank you so much for being a part of the watch list. We look forward to seeing you soon and also seeing you out at the films.